So recently, I've been seeing a lot of comments in my comment section and on other YouTube videos about film music not being real classical music, and then other people saying that's where it's at. That's where you're going to have to go to see the survival of classical music. So I want to talk about that today a little bit. First of all, I want to say that many of the great music that you know from films were written by great composers, or those who at least had traditional classical training, if you don't want to call them great composers. Well, you probably know of Hans Zimmer and you know of John Williams, and people have accused them of a lot of things. But don't forget, there are people like Leonard Bernstein who composed something for film. And of course, he also wrote for the popular idiom of his day, which were musicals, and then they were turned into films. So I think that if we go to the angle of let's completely disregard film composers as being unserious, I think that's a big mistake. I'd like to tell you a story. When I was at New England Conservatory, every year we had our composer series, and we would invite some of the world's greatest composers, just one per year, and they would do seminars and master classes and things like that. And they would listen to people perform their music. But on one day, they would have the big seminar where they would talk to everybody, and it would be filmed as well. And sometimes, I remember when I was there, we had Lutoslawski one year. And then another year, we had a great film composer. I've mentioned this before. I won't mention his name. And he was rather self-deprecating. But what he said actually furthers this sort of somewhat snotty attitude, even at his own expense. He said, I want you to know that I make a ton of money as a film composer, but my music is beep. He said a word I'm not going to say on YouTube. And it shocked, it shocked the ivory tower composers. But it's true. This guy made a lot of money. And I think that that's the problem right there. That when composers make a ton of money, already it's suspect. It's suspect. That means probably it's too popular or it's trash. It's not serious. You're not furthering the cause. Well, here's my question for you. What is the cause? What is this cause that you're talking about? I'll tell you, does that mean some sort of abstract, arcane ivory tower theory about what music should be? Is it some sort of progressive notion that you should be composing only for the ideals that you have, however abstract they may be, however unappealing they may be? Now, don't get me wrong. I love a lot of very hard music, I would say, very hard to listen to, that because it's very abstract. And I love music that's maybe powerful, but sometimes even ugly, like some of Stravinsky can be categorized as ugly, but it's powerful, great music. What I don't love is some of the abstract for abstract purposes, where they've created a whole new system and it's mathematical and all that, and it appeals to nobody, basically. I mean, fine if you want to compose that way, but is that the cause that we're talking about? All right, I'll tell you what I think the cause is. I think the cause is keeping music alive, getting people interested in so-called classical music. What do you want to call it? That, serious music, art music, whatever you want to call it. Keeping people interested and getting more people interested in live concerts. And when you have great films with memorable scores, and I will challenge you right here, think of some of the great movies you love and the music that moved you in them, and look it up after you watch this video, and you'll see a famous film composer behind them. And if that gets people wanting to go hear live music, not something electronic, not something canned, not something created by Suno, but live music, something that moves you, then that's a good thing. And then people say, oh, they're criticizing that orchestras are playing film music, and while they're playing it, they're showing some of the stills or even some of the movie behind them. Oh, this is cheapening it and it's making it less of an art form. I don't think these people understand what music was like historically. If you look 100, 150 years ago, it was very rare for people just to sit there quietly, not uttering a single word, listening to a whole concert without a peep. Usually, composers would have a movement of this, a movement of that. You might have poetry reading during the concert. People might be playing cards. People could even be talking. Look up why Joseph Haydn wrote his so-called surprise symphony. I think you will get a surprise when you find out. So it was for the masses. It was for anyone who would appreciate it. This idea of sitting there quietly and not moving, that already turns a lot of people off. And I'm not saying that we should start talking and playing cards in concerts. No. What I am saying is that if something comes along like film music that is still incredibly popular, I mean, imagine the epic films you've seen without music. What would that be like? So if something comes along like that, we should cherish it. It makes people want to hear this type of music. Those are the people that you will get to go to concerts, not on a gimmick, but because they heard music like that. And that will be sort of the gateway to other similar music. People, for example, accuse John Williams of stealing from other composers. Well, I've got news for you. That's what composers did. They learned from previous composers. They used their language. And yes, they even sometimes used the same harmonies and gestures. Now, maybe John Williams did it more than other composers, but this is not unheard of. And if he's taking the best of the best and you're hearing it, you might be interested in what those sources were. And then maybe you'll go to those concerts. So I think knocking film music is the wrong way to go. Okay. It's the wrong way to go. And the final thing I want to leave you with is if anyone shows any interest in our so-called art music or classical music, and even jazz for that matter, because jazz used to be the popular music 50, 60 years ago, and now apparently it's as arcane or difficult to understand as classical. So if anybody shows any sort of interest in either type of music, encourage it. Just encourage it. Invite them to a concert you're giving or invite them to a concert you're listening to. Let's help each other with this. So what? Film composers get paid a lot of money. Do they get paid as much as football stars or baseball stars? Maybe in some instances, but I think it's worth it. I think that we should not knock something that is helping out and that is the cause. Continuing the love and interest in the performance of this great type of music, even if some of the film music isn't up to the highest standards of traditional classical music. It's still classical music, and it can get people in the door listening to that music and other great music with it. And this is one of the main ways and main hopes we have to survive. But what do you think? Do you think I'm totally off base here? Let me know in the comments. I'd like to hear what you think. Or is there something I'm totally missing and there's another cause that could help out? And don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.